What up friends, Liron here, and today I want you to learn from my mistakes. What up friends, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video. Today I want to do something a little different. Usually when I make a painting I do a time-lapse version and then a real-time narrated version. This time I have this painting that I did and I didn't really like the result, but I do think there's a lot of educational value in learning from my mistakes. I mentioned this a few times in the past and people can relate to this. I find that I learn so much more from my mistakes than from my successes, because usually when I succeed I can kind of tell, okay, it turned out the way I wanted it to, but I don't really know what I should recreate or do again in my mind or do correctly again to get the same result. But when I get something wrong or different from what I planned, I know why it turned out that way. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna have a video of the painting process, but I'm gonna run it at a double or triple speed so you can see the process but much faster. And I will talk about a few things that I did that weren't as good. The main keys here are, first of all, it looks a little fragmented, too much. It doesn't feel like one painting, okay? And a second one that really stuck out for me is the fact that it's not too fluid enough, okay, as much as I wanted to. But the main thing is that it just feels a little separated, you know? So usually when you do a painting, you want to pull it all together so that it feels like one scene, one unified view. And this is what I didn't really do well here. There's also an issue with the colors, things like this. Composition, we're going to talk about all of this, but I just want to run it down really fast and narrate it and explain to you what I could have done better, and hopefully you will learn from my experience. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let's begin here with the process. It's actually really interesting because I'm recording this right now from my new place in Tel Aviv, so that's just a new experience for me. I was just outside actually painting on location, and I'll have a separate video on the painting I did because it turned out really well. Unfortunately, I don't have the process itself recorded, but I do want to share some insights. So anyway, I feel today was a major breakthrough, and we'll talk about that in a few days. So anyway, now I'm starting here with the first wash, and I think my mistake here was already present, like at this stage, that I didn't cover up everything. There's a reason why I did it, because the house on the right has some highlights on the roof. With that, I think for the darker shadows it would have been a better idea to already cover them up in this initial wash. Notice how I'm also negative painting around the bus. I'm not going to cover it in this wash. So it's funny because I feel like my skills have definitely improved. Just the actual things I did were incorrect. And I think this shows a very interesting aspect of watercolor painting, which is there's the technical side, the highly technical side of understanding wetness levels and consistencies and wet and wet and dry and wet and so on, and the execution of this and actually how to make it. But then there's another stage of actually planning the painting, making it look the way you want, the actual process and stages. So the technical skills I definitely got down right here. The rest I think was a bit lacking. The composition, it feels like because I just took a break from some parts, it just feels like it's a bit fragmented again, and not in a good way. So because you have seen some paintings in the past that were fragmented, but in a good way. This one doesn't feel that way to me, unfortunately. So anyway, now I'm going ahead with the second wash, and you can see how it just... I just don't really feel it in the sense that it already feels a bit detached from the environment. Now I will go back with another... and I know a lot of people don't like that I complain or something, or say this is bad and this is wrong and I did this not the way I planned, but I'm really doing this for the educational value, okay? So I'm not just bashing on my work for the fun of it. I'm actually, I believe there's a lot to learn from this. Okay, so if you don't like these kinds of videos, you definitely can skip ahead and watch another one. I only publish every day, and so I have quite a bit to go back if you haven't watched everything. So anyway, now I'm painting around the window sort of frames that are white. The color selection I think is good for the building. I'm pleased with it. I think the ground on the right doesn't work because it should Okay, so the area on the right where the people are, it's a bit yellow, and on the left it's just brown. So probably on the left I should have neutralized it a little more with some more blue, and then have it a bit gray so that it will actually look more like asphalt and won't look too similar to the right part. So that's one thing I could improve. Funny enough, the staircase on the right you will see me do again with another layer, and it turned out really well. The more I do watercolor, the more I realize you really have to let it all mix together and let it all flow, and this is the best characteristic of watercolor. People don't just say it because, you know, it's true. It's just true. If I would probably let it all blend together, I wouldn't have these weird, too strong of highlights and stuff like that. So anyway, this video I run it at triple speed, so ×3. And the reason why is, sorry about the noise by the way, Tel Aviv is noisy. And the reason why is that I don't think you have to actually watch the entire process in real time to get the gist of it. I think it's enough to just go over it really fast. So anyway, yeah, now I have the tail lights of the bus, trying to correct that small bleeding, but it's fine. It's going to correct itself later on with some more glazing. The thing that kind of annoys me with this one, aside from everything that I talked about, is just how there's a feeling of two paintings, like the bus and all the left side, and then the house and the people on the right. And it makes me wonder, how do you create that separation, you know? How do you make that happen? Or rather, how you do the opposite, how you make it look like one painting. And how easy it is to not notice that it turns into multiple paintings, you know. So this is my quite a scary insight actually. And it's funny because today I really did a painting I'm pleased with, and it feels like one work, and it feels good, and all the beautiful characteristics of watercolor shine through. But still, it's so easy to just mess up with watercolor. It's such a strange learning curve. We talked about it a while ago on some other videos, and a lot of people commented that they can relate, that you can really do a good job for a while and then suddenly you suck for no apparent reason. So it's just very interesting, I think. There was one more thing I wanted to comment about, and that is the color selection itself. So I said I'm pleased with it. I'm pleased with the color scheme, but I just think that the placement is wrong, because it just doesn't convey anything to me, unfortunately. There's no sense of unity in the color. It's just a lot of colors all over the place. Should have probably simplified it. Started being too literal with the building on the right, like really looking for the colors and trying to match them, and it just wasn't that necessary. Ironically, the people in this painting turned out pretty nicely, as you'll see in a few moments. There you go, the stairs. Just one swoosh of the brush on every step and just got the impression. Just shows you that you can get the elements right really easily. So anyway, the people turned out really nicely, and you will see this soon. So now I'm starting to bring things to the foreground a bit more by glazing over with a darker wash. I'm going to glaze over the road as well, leaving some areas not touched for the things, the lines that you see on the road, the separation between the different lanes, things like this, just to give it some sense of depth. I'm not sure when I'm going to do it, probably later on. So I also created a fragmentation with the bus shadow and the car shadow and the road itself. Just anytime you let a wash dry, you know that you created a separation between that and the environment. So that's dangerous. So the moment these shadows dried, it's like, yeah. If you put in a strong shadow and then you have to put in a large glaze like this one I'm doing right now, you know you may have screwed up. Some people do it. I don't know. Some people pull it off. They're like, yeah, I'm just adding a glaze for the sky to make them darker, and it looks wonderful. I guess I'm not at the level of understanding yet. So you see now how it's kind of separate from the shadows. Yeah. So now I'm adding just a bit of separation between the sidewalk and the road itself by just putting in those sort of stripes of red and blue. They were actually red and blue in the reference, so that's one thing that I did follow. Now adding some details to the people, and as you'll see, they turn out pretty okay, I would say. I feel like I did a very good job today with the people in the painting I did on location. Just on location, it's like you have a whole world open up to you, and you can see so much better. So it's really fascinating to me, I think, just this difference. So anyway, yeah, I'm putting in the sort of a reddish burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange for the skin tones. Then I put in the clothing items, mainly like sepia and French ultramarine, stuff like that. Sort of jeans, things like this. Rather simple. Try to keep it rather simple. Now there's the person in the shadow there under the shed of the bus stop, and he's sort of handing out something, maybe to the bus driver. I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't. Some palm trees, just decided to get them a bit drier, so, you know, just to create some interest. Still fragmented as hell, but okay. I'm gonna add the darker sort of foliage under them and also under the shed, just to give it a little more anchoring into the scene. This is pretty much done, I think. I don't have a lot to add, maybe just a few shadows, or maybe just signature or something, like autograph, signing it, I don't know. Yeah, some shadow under the step between the sidewalk and everything. Yeah, I don't really remember what I'm doing next, but yeah, so yeah, just like I thought, just a bit of shadows in there. I think they do add a sense of three-dimensionality or something like this, so that was a good thing. There's two flags on the roof. I decided to switch to red just to get them in a bit of a different color, as if there's not enough colors in this scene. Yeah, so that's funny. A bit of the details of the windows, just the frames, the panes, stuff like that. Some stronger shadow under the shed, and on the shed's sort of legs also, I think I'll add. Yeah, some details under the roof. Really, just too much details, too much colors. Weird composition. Maybe I'm over judgmental, maybe I'm not, who knows. But that's definitely not the level I want to be at. Yeah, some shadows here, and I think I'm just gonna sign it, and it's done.
Okay friends, I hope you enjoyed this, and I really hope this was helpful for you to maybe recognize some of your mistakes in mine. I really find that this is a huge tool to just go over the paintings, take a look at them and really analyze them and figure out what could have been done better. I do think a better way of going at it is going back to a painting you finished a while ago, so that you can, the mistakes you made will jump at you better. Okay, so so the mistakes you make will just jump at you because you're a little less detached and you don't really remember the entire process, and so it's just a bit different to see it with fresh eyes, okay, as you say. So anyway, this is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up for the video, follow me on Snapchat and Instagram, and I will see you again in another video tomorrow.